Now, I've had one minor criticism of Arne Slot's Liverpool. It's that perhaps there haven't been enough of these sorts of comfortable wins. It's always felt like the opposition have been right in it until the death of the game, really, but nothing like that today. Ipswich beaten 4-1 here, and let's be honest, it was comfortable from very, very early in the first half. Obviously, Liverpool race into a 3-0 half-time lead, and then from there, see it out with very, very little trouble. This is one of the more dominant performances you will see in the Premier League this season, to be honest. Obviously, a 4-1 win in the end. Ipswich get that late consolation, but they were never really in this as a contest, and the stats kind of really bear that out. Liverpool with 1.9 expected goals to Ipswich 0.25, and I do believe that Ipswich goal, there was maybe a little bit of grappling in the box that could have gone in Liverpool's favour, but unfortunately didn't. They just really weren't in this, as I say, and 16-3 on the shot count, 6-3 for shots on target, and Liverpool with 72% of the possession, so just dominating the ball, dominating the shots, dominating the game in its entirety, really, in a really comfortable win. And I think obviously the reflection will be it's only Ipswich. They're a side who favourites to go down with the other promoted sides this season, and they are really struggling to adapt to the Premier League. But I think the complacency was a big threat in a game like this. We have seen, Ipswich have beat Chelsea this season, who went there and maybe thought it was going to be straightforward for them. But I saw absolutely no signs of that from Liverpool, and that's something I think is hugely encouraging from today's game, because to pen Ipswich in and make sure that you do have 72% possession, you don't give them a sniff, you barely give up any shots, that takes a really, really good attitude and work rate, because they've got Delap, they've got Hutchinson, who can maybe hurt you on the break if they get a couple of passes away. But Liverpool's attitude, as I say, was just fantastic in terms of penning them in, the work rate to make sure that Ipswich didn't get a foothold in the game, the covering off when there was a potential chance for a break. Really, really good to see that attitude, really, and I think that was a big part, really, of Liverpool's performance, and really sort of set the tone and made sure that Ipswich didn't at any point get any encouragement and think they could get anything out of this. And a big part of the game, as I say, and obviously it's a little bit of a shame that Arsenal go down to 10 men and still manage to grind out the win. But let's be honest, we can't really be greedy about these things, can we? Because Liverpool are still 6 points clear. They've still got a game in hand, and they're looking like huge favourites for the Premier League title race, because I think what we're seeing at the moment is the best team in the division. As I say, this is only Ipswich. It should be a game that Liverpool should win in a straightforward manner. But to do it in the way that you did today, I think really shows me further signs that this is the best team in the league. And Arsenal getting one over the line, they're still a long way behind, and they still also have to come to Anfield, which I'm sure they'll be extremely worried about. Now, I'm talking about this being the best team in the division, and one of the foundational elements, I think, of this team being so good, and something we saw a lot of today, is this midfield. I think if Liverpool go on to win trophies this season, and we hope that the Premier League will be amongst them and see how they get on in the other competitions, I think Arne Slot owes a phone call to Jurgen Klopp to thank him for the business that was done last summer in Jurgen Klopp's last summer in charge, which was to bring this midfield together, because it's not just that they are brilliant individuals, and they really, really are that. It's just that they dovetail beautifully as well. They are such a good unit that works together perfectly, and every Premier League side I've seen them come up against, they just seem to be dominating them, because they've got that perfect mix of kind of everything. Gravenberch is the destroyer, but he can move through the lines. McAllister's a nice balance between being an attacking midfielder and a defensive midfielder who can progress the ball from deep positions. And then Szoboszlai, a goal getter, assist getter, someone who's can make himself into a second striker, but he's also got that great work rate as well that really helps him kind of cover off counters and stop that ever being a threat. So it is, as I say, a really good mix, and I'd say you saw that today, because you look at the numbers. Gravenberch there, 3 out of 5 duels won, 2 out of 2 tackles won. He just does all that dirty work and keeps Liverpool on top. McAllister, 5 out of 11 duels. He's always involved in a lot of duels, gets through a lot of work, but also on the flip side of that, 3 chances created, which is more than anybody else in the match. So he is that real balance between the two, and Szoboszlai, as I say, gets a goal with a brilliant finish. I was thinking actually earlier today, I'm sure he's going to go on a run of scoring goals, because a player who can hit the ball that well off both feet, he's just ready-made to get goals for me, and I thought he showed that with his finish. But he also gets 4 shots and puts in that unbelievable work rate, as I said. A big part of Ipswich not getting the chances for any counters, because he's always there on the cover. So it's just a brilliant midfield unit, I think. And of course Curtis Jones is a really handy option to have. He's injured at the moment, but he's been really important this season, and I'm sure Harvey Elliott will get an awful lot of minutes as well, because I'm a big fan of him as a player. But I just think this 3 is a world-class midfield unit really, and we are just seeing that week on week. And it also kind of throws up the question of, well, what would have happened if Szoboszlai had signed for Liverpool? I'm not sure how that would have worked itself out, because how could you have dropped any of these three? I know people will say, okay, well, you need depth, but I think Liverpool have got that, and they've got players who are willing to kind of sit on the bench sometimes, because really, if they're fit, McAllister, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai should be playing kind of 40 games together. How do you give Szoboszlai 40 games alongside that? You can't. So, maybe did Liverpool get a bit lucky with that? Give them the opportunity to play Gravenberch in that position and do so well? Maybe. I certainly think on the evidence we've seen so far that is the case this season anyway, that maybe that one actually fell in Liverpool's favour, getting snubbed there. Now, just to move on to other talking points as well, a couple of individuals I want to highlight here as well is, one of those is Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, I saw a clip on the overlap recently. I may have spoken about this on another video about Roy Keane getting stuck into Trent for his defending, and I just think, fair enough for the United game where I thought he was really poor, but if you watch his last two games back to back against Brentford and here in this one, also against Lille as well, actually I thought he was very good, but I don't know how anyone can say that he's absolutely shocking defensively. He may not be perfect, but very few right backs are, and very few of the right backs who get praised as if they are absolutely perfect. I think you watch Trent's defensive performance in this game and the Brentford one, he was absolutely brilliant. I mean, you look at the numbers from this one: 5 out of 7 ground duels won, 4 recoveries, and his work rate in terms of covering off counter-attacks, absolutely sensational, really putting it in and really stuck to his defensive task, and I think really, really good to see that. And I think that's been the story since the Manchester United game, but also probably before the Manchester United game as well. I remember in several of these videos pointing out how his defensive work has gone up a level this season, and I think outside of that one game you can probably say that's the case. And I thought again today, absolutely brilliant in that. Really, really good attitude. I'm using that word a lot, but I thought that was kind of defined the performances. The attitude across the pitch was absolutely brilliant. And then, of course, you get his defensive work, which is spot on, but also he gets an assist with a beautiful cross for Gakpo. Hits the bar, sends an absolute rasping effort, just dips wide of the post as well in the second half. He's just got absolutely everything to his game, and for me, is when he's on it, and he's basically outside that United game, is the best right back in the world, and it just ramps up the pressure again, doesn't it? Liverpool have got to get him signed up. They can't afford to lose him. I think he's a fabulous player, but I think huge credit to him for his reaction to that Manchester United game and the way he's performed in recent weeks, but also the season in general. I think his defensive work's been outstanding, and that really should be highlighted and should have ended the debate, although I doubt Roy Keane will watch this game. Unfortunately, he won't get to see the evidence of that, and I'm sure he'll stick to his guns on that viewpoint, but I don't think it touches reality, which is that Trent Alexander-Arnold is very, very good going both ways. Now, one more individual I want to highlight as well is the guy who gets 2 goals today, which of course is Cody Gakpo. Not just his 2 goals, which are both excellent. I mean, I love the centre forwards finish for the second one, getting there, big powerful header. He's really, really good for that. He's a big lad, isn't he, for a left winger, but he's a real aerial threat for that reason. And also just getting the tap in, being there for the poacher's goal as well, getting inside the post when the ball is on the other side. Love to see that from him with his first goal. He also, of course, gets the assist for Mo Salah with a great, that's becoming a little bit of a trademark, isn't it? That one where he threatens to shoot, but then chips that little ball to the back post. That's become a real weapon in Liverpool's arsenal at the moment, and so that is really handy, and beautifully finished by Salah as well. And when you look at Gakpo now, 32 appearances this season and 14 goals, so he's doing really well. It's a great hit rate for him, particularly for a player who maybe we were worried after his first kind of season and a half or so at Liverpool that he was never going to be really prolific. I think that move to the left wing, you've got to give huge credit to the manager for that, for realising that that is clearly his best position and where he'll play his best football and where he'll be the biggest threat for Liverpool as well. So he's absolutely thriving there, having a great season. And he's looking pretty undroppable on that left-hand side as well. You would have said that of Luis Diaz early in the season, but I think Gakpo getting the goals, his work rate's great, his kind of dual threat of physical, his height and everything he kind of offers there, really. He's got to be the man with the shirt on that left-hand side, and the rest kind of work itself out in terms of where Luis Diaz starts, if Jota's fit, if Nunez starts in the centre-forward role, how that works out. That's up to Arne Slot, really, to work out that selection headache. Certainly glad that I don't have to. Of course, I'm going to wrap it up there, but there are a few other individuals I kind of want to give credit to because it was such a good performance today. Canate winning 12 duels is absolutely outrageous numbers, to be honest, and also thought Andy Robertson, for all the stick he's got, he's had a couple of games rest there, and I thought he was brilliant down that side as well defensively. Any sniff that Ipswich got, he kind of stamped it out, and I thought, again, do you just need to give him those little bit more extra rest to make sure you see the best version of Andy Robertson? Because I think we did that. We did see that today, and I thought he looked very, very bright. So he still has a lot to offer for Liverpool, I think, in this season. But of course, I'd like to go from 1 to 11 and through all the substitutes and talk about the manager as well. I don't have time in these very brief match reviews, unfortunately. But what I will say is that, as I said earlier in the video, I think we're watching the best team in the Premier League here. They've got a massive lead. They're putting the results together. They've come out of that little sticky patch with a few too many draws. I think that getting the late win at Brentford has done a lot for the confidence, and hopefully that'll provide an extra boost to just keep the momentum going now, and they can do that between now and the end of the season. Then there's no question for me that they will be the ones lifting the Premier League trophy, because they've just been sensational so far, and I think we've seen another sensational performance today. So as I say, I'm going to wrap it up there. Do let me know in the comments what you thought about that performance, what you think about Liverpool in general, and just how good they are, because I think they are very good. Do let me know in the comments, and as usual I'm going to ask if you can like, and if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe, because there's many more games to come. A trip to PSV where maybe an opportunity to rest some players, and of course also that big scary game against Bournemouth coming up, but really looking forward to another big week for Liverpool. So I'll wrap it up there and say I'll see you guys very soon.